Good evening, everyone. My name is Miss Farrington, and today we're going to be talking about copyright law and fair use guidelines. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the title of the presentation is, what is copyright law? Does anybody have any idea, any thoughts? What is copyright law? What does that mean to you?
Well, I feel like copyright law would probably have something to do with, is it legal or not legal for you to use someone else's book or the information from a book or a magazine? Is it legal or not legal to do that?
Very good. Anybody else? No? All right. So let's look into what is copyright law. All right. Can anybody read that for me, please?
What is copyright law? Protecting the financial interests of the creators, producers, and distributors of original works of information and art.
Okay, so now here we are back to, I think Ms. Giss was talking about, is it legal or is it not legal? So here we're talking about protecting the financial interests of the creators, producers, and distributors of original works of information and art. And now when we talk about art, we're not just talking about, pictures or magazines, but art can also mean music, poetry, choreography, which relates to dances, okay, and all of these things are covered by certain copyright laws, okay. And then it says protecting the financial interests. We all know it's all about the money. All right, everyone wants to protect their money. Any questions on that part?
Well, that was very interesting.
Okay.
It clarified what I would think copyright law would be.
And it says original. We know sometimes people redo things, or certain songs, people remake them, but the original portion of the songs are covered by the copyright laws. Where if people decide to remake them, they're going to have to pay. Pay money or get permission, to use it.
Okay.
And now we're going to talk about more about copyright law. With us being all teachers, what do you think we're really focusing on when we talk about copyright law? Being teachers.
How we use information in our classroom to give students information and to educate the students what we're responsible for doing if we're not creating information on our own.
Right. And that's exactly what I know. We like to, even me myself, like to reuse worksheets and sometimes booklets and sometimes even poetry. All right. But we're going to talk about how copyright law protects us as teachers. And this is the one that's really important: fair use and teachers. All right. It says fair use and teachers. Small portions of copyrighted works may be used in teaching if properly cited and noted that they are copyrighted and by whom. Using a copyrighted work for an educational objective is more likely to be considered fair use than is using it for commercial gain or entertainment. So that's where we're covered by fair use. All right, that means that we're not using it for any gain of our own. Most likely as teachers, we're using it in our classrooms for teaching purposes to help the students. We're not, here it talks about making commercials or doing little TV prompt. As teachers, we do a lot of different things. So as long as we're using the works to work in our classroom to help our students and not for any type of gain, especially money gain of our own. Anybody have any suggestions, comments? Mrs. Boynton?
So basically you're saying I can take any work that's been originated by an author or creator and use it in my classroom.
Yes. Would you like to elaborate?
So we cannot.
Well,
do
my
that?
understanding, you can use small portions of it. You can use snippets of it, and you have to cite it. Correct?
Well, yes, exactly. But when you come to teaching with your students, if it's going to be something that you're not using outside of your classroom, you're covered by the fair use and the fair use that protects teachers. Okay, like for example, we have students, for example, if you were doing something with your kids in your classroom, like a poem or some kind of work that was going to be in an exhibit in the Dade County Youth Fair, then yes, you're going to have to cite it. You're going to, the people who are reading it are going to have to know who it belonged to, who was the original creator of the work. But as far as using things in our classroom, we're covered under the fair use guidelines.
So to get a clear understanding, Ms. Farrington, it would mean that if I chose to use any type of, like reproduce any type of work, like a worksheet out of a book, it would be really considered, it would be more likely to be considered fair use than if I took that same worksheet and took it outside of my classroom and used it somewhere else.
If
It would be more likely to be considered fair use.
example, you got the FCAT math books or the FCAT workbooks. If you go buy that, Get Smart or whatever, if that book says copyrighted, you have to buy a book for each student, or else it's considered illegal. Because of that copyright at the bottom, the copyright at the bottom of that page.
But fair use, we've talked about
falls under
this
fair
before.
use. Yes.
That will fall under fair
Fair
use
use.
It does.
if you're using it within your classes. Reproducing the worksheets, they can be used within your classroom.
It would be considered, I think that it would be considered, fair use. It would be more likely considered fair use than if we were using it to,
Only if the author
sale or
gives you
to-
permission.
And look what it says here. It says using a copyrighted work for an educational objective is more likely to be considered fair use than is using it for commercial gain or entertainment.
Okay.
So I'm sure it's a fine line when you're dealing with copyrighted material. So that's why we're doing this presentation so that we can be aware of how we use certain products, certain materials, so that we don't abuse, our rights and then find ourselves running into trouble with copyright laws.
Okay.
Very good. Let's move on. All right, fair use and teachers.
You go backwards.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're going backwards. Let's go. Stop it.
Just stop it and do another one.